So it's been a whopping 15 years since I made the move from Minnesota to Florida. Never looking back. How and why did I do it? Stay tuned. I'll give you the story. Hello and welcome to St. Pete Beach, Florida Living, my YouTube channel where we talk about everything St. Pete Beach as well as in and around Tampa Bay area. I'm Tracy Forth, otherwise known as the Fancy Lady of Real Estate. I was born and raised in the Midwest, but now I am one of the lucky residents here in St. Pete Beach, Florida, #1 beach in the US according to TripAdvisor this year. So today we're going to talk about my move from Minnesota to Florida. Oh my gosh, 15 years ago, hard to believe. My kids were just tiny. I had a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a few bags. and yeah, that's how it started. So, but before I jump into the story, if this is your first time here, if you want to go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that alarm bell to be notified when a new video pops up, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on here in St. Pete Beach. And if you're making the move, this is a great channel to watch as well. Okay, so Minnesota, land of the tundra. It's cold. Really, really cold. Like, so cold, don't go outside and breathe because your lungs will freeze. I do remember one time I was meeting my friend somewhere and I had to run back to my car because I was running late. And I had to run to the car and run back. And by the time I got back to the store where we were, oh my gosh, I couldn't breathe. I had frostbitten my lungs. That's how crazy cold Minnesota is. And I know a lot of y'all, you're from the Midwest, you can totally relate to this. It's like 0 degrees. It's below 0 degrees. That's how cold Minnesota is. So is it a stretch that I wanted to move to, Florida? So, yeah, cold. And I was born and raised in Minnesota. They say you get used to the cold. I'm not certain that you really do. So I was born in Brainerd, Paul Bunyan land. I've lived all over Minnesota. North Branch is where I went to school. Went to university at St. Cloud State. Lived in Egan. My kids were born in Edina. I should say one kid was born in Edina. Yeah, I love Minnesota. I really do. The mall, I remember when the mega mall went up and I was crazy. People were parking their RVs in the parking lot. I loved the Mall of America. My family and friends, I still have family and friends in Minnesota. And I'm talking to them about moving here. And lots of Midwesterners want to make the move. Who wouldn't want to live where the sun shines almost every day? Don't look out the window, it's raining right now. So I could say that it was the cold that drove me from Minnesota to Florida, but that wouldn't be altogether accurate. So at the time, my husband got a job down here in Florida. He wasn't crazy about the cold either. And so he got a job down here in Florida, in Tampa, and came down and looked for a house for us. I didn't get to see it until I came down several months later. I was up in Minnesota with the 2-year-old and the 5-year-old, trying to manage the house, keep the yard mowed, getting ready for showings, taking the kids to McDonald's. I don't do a lot of McDonald's. Oh, and it was so stressful. Stay-at-home moms, any of the moms, any parent with kids knows that managing 2 little ones all by yourself for an extended period of time can be, let's say, stressful. And I still had my job in Minnesota, so that's something I did right. I kept my job. My husband came down to Florida with the new job, same field he's in. These are important notes for anyone that's looking to potentially get a mortgage loan. And so he came down and I stayed up there with my job, with the kids. And I remember, oh goodness, talk about stress. One time, the little one, 2 years old, got a hold of my fingernail polish. Yeah, white carpet, red fingernail polish, or let's just say fuchsia. Oh, I think I cried buckets. I cried buckets as I got the acetone out and I'm scrubbing the carpet, trying to get this out. The house isn't selling. We had a beautiful home in Eden Prairie, and it was in a wonderful area. It was one of the more affordable older homes in a newer development of high-end homes, and it still took a couple of months to sell. I remember rearranging furniture every day, hoping that moving the couch here or there would actually make an impact. You know, making spaces look bigger is a big deal. And to this day, I love staging, and I can't help but share those thoughts when I'm listing a home because it does make a difference. Even cleaning out the closet is huge. And so we were able to just really start the packing process early. And eventually we did sell it. And my girls and I and my mom joined us. We drove with a full vehicle loaded up with stuff. We had a Jeep Cherokee at the time and drove down to Florida with the girls, my mom, and saw this beautiful new home for the first time. I think as far as prices go, we pretty much were the same. We sold our home in Minnesota for about the same price as we purchased the home in Florida. And it was a newer home in Florida on a smaller lot in a beautiful gated community in New Tampa, Live Oak Preserve. So anybody up in New Tampa, or if you've been looking in the area, a lot of folks that come from a suburban type area really enjoy coming to a suburban type area in Florida. And we do have those. And a lot of them are up in northern Tampa and New Tampa, where you'll see a lot of the new construction. But really, truly, they're all over Riverview, Brandon, Lithia, Apollo Beach. And so anytime you see new construction, you have those new developments. And for us, with two little ones, that was important to have the security of a gated community. We were looking for a good school and, you know, all the same things that folks want for their kids. And so that's where we ended up landing, is that New Tampa area. If I had to do it again, there are some other areas that I wish we would have considered, just because I had to drive to my work in like that downtown Tampa area. I say downtown, it's really, we call it the West Shore area here in Tampa, which is by International Plaza, really close to the airport. Because the jobs, you know, now you probably do a lot more remote work than we did back in that day, but that's where I had to drive. And that was a good hour on average commute each way to get from New Tampa to that International Plaza area where I found my job. I know why my husband picked that area for our kids and for us to live. It was because it was a nice neighborhood, it was affordable, lots of new development, very consistent feel of homes. You'll not get that in all the different locations available. Like Riverview had new developments as well, Brandon area, but there's more of an eclectic mix of neighborhoods, let's say. And then we did love that area, but he worked off of Telecom Parkway, which is a hop and a skip from that area. I had to drive all the way downtown. So if I had known, if I had had a job that was going to be an hour drive each way, we would have probably looked at different areas. I, in hindsight, would have chosen more of that Carrollwood, West Chase area. Again, beautiful homes, more established older homes, developed communities, gated communities. For my kids, I would have loved some of the schools that are in the area. I have friends that are in that area and they love the schools, and it's just in a beautiful setting for anybody that likes outdoor activities. If you like to inline skate, run, golf and bike, you know, all of those types of things. There's lots of parks, and it's beautiful in that area. And it's closer to West Shore area and downtown Tampa. So now you have some of the why and the how I went from the Midwest to Florida. Some of the surprises I wanted to share with you as well. Wages, the sunshine tax. Florida wasn't going to pay me what I was making in Minnesota. Was it worth it? Heck yeah. I love it here. Car insurance. Car insurance is expensive. What I'm told is that there are a lot of uninsured motorists, and you'll see it every day. There are a significant number of car accidents here. So I'm guessing the premiums are going to help pay for some of those things. Alligators. I I guess I knew there are alligators in Florida. Alligator Alley, everybody knows about that. But we had them in our backyard. In Live Oak Preserve up in New Tampa, Bruce B. Downs, a lot of those areas, there are a lot of ponds. And we lived on a preserve, basically. And so they were maintaining all of these ponds. And so in our backyard was a pond, which means in our backyard, there was at least one alligator. And actually, we named him Hollywood. We enjoyed seeing him. But it was a little scary. I mean, again, I had 2 little kids. And so one of the first things I did was put the fear of God in them about, you don't go in the backyard without one of us to, manage the alligator situation. And I know even at their school, they would tell the kids stories, like scary stories about what can happen if you're doing something near a pond and there's an alligator. And there would be show and tell and stories. And so my children do have trauma that they'll very readily share with anybody that's going to listen and say what a horrible parent they have, because as a parent you tell them these stories and they leave traumatic scars. So alligators. And in fact, I remember one time my mom came to visit from Minnesota, and even before she would visit, I mean, when we moved down here, she's like, oh my God, you got an alligator in the backyard. You got to manage the kids. You got to make sure that they don't get eaten. And so our school, the school for Live Oak Preserve they would go to was just a few blocks from our house. And so we would walk them to school and walk them home every day. So when Mom would visit, she would do that commute, go to the school, get the kids. And I remember one time she was saying that the kids were kind of playing down by the pond. There's the sidewalk next to the road, and then there's a pond on the side. And the kids were kind of playing on that hill near the pond. And she's like, get up from there. Get up away from the water. You're going to get eaten by an alligator. Little did she know there was like a very large alligator crossing the sidewalk up ahead. And she's just, walking along, screaming at the kids, not really paying attention that there's an alligator right in front of her. So now I hear this story all the time. It's like, you remember when Grandma was yelling at us to get away from the pond and the alligator? So of course here at the beach, St. Pete Beach, we don't have alligators. However, we have sharks. And I remember thinking when I first came to Florida, and I still wonder sometimes, what do native Floridians find scarier or more concerning? Alligators or sharks? I mean, there are places like Weeki Wachee, where there's this wonderful brackish type river, and you have everything. You've got alligators and you've got sharks and manatees and dolphins and all the things that come along with that. So people swim in Weeki Wachee all the time. We go tubing. I've been tubing on Weeki Wachee. The few Floridian friends that answered the question without saying they're afraid of both, it seemed like most are more afraid of sharks. They're not afraid of alligators. I really don't understand it. I'm afraid of both. And there you have it. The story of how this Midwesterner became a Floridian and is loving it. Every story is different, but there are certain things that you can do to help grease the wheels of your transition to Florida if you're thinking of making the move. And that is for sure finances, number one. I get calls from people all over the US, all over the world that want to move here. And the number one thing that I tell them they need to figure out first is the financial situation. How are they going to afford their home here? Does it make sense for them to quit their job and move here? Do they have cash? If they have cash, it's all good. Come on. We'll go start showing you properties. The other thing is get a realtor that knows the areas. And, if you're looking for somewhere you can go biking and hiking, or if you want to be by the beach, or if you're looking for great schools, great high school, middle school, do you like to golf? Do you like to go boating? There are so many things that determine where you should land when you make that move to Florida. And a full-time professional realtor like myself would be happy to show you around and make sure that you have no regrets. You find that perfect home for you and the folks that are moving with you, and you love life like I'm doing it right now. So again, Tracy Forth, Fancy Lady Real Estate here in lovely St. Pete Beach, Florida. I look forward to hearing from you.